When Jose Mourinho returned to Real Madrid, most people immediately started talking about trophies. Could he bring Madrid back to the very top? Could he handle a dressing room packed with stars? Could he recreate some of the magic from the first spell? But there's another question quietly hanging over all of it. What happens when Mourinho and Vinicius Junior finally sit down in the same room? Some people felt Mourinho should have backed Vinicius more strongly. Others thought his comments had been misunderstood. Either way, it left people wondering, can these two actually work together? Because if Mourinho's second spell succeeds, Vinicius will almost certainly be at the center of it. And if things don't click between them, it could become one of the biggest stories in football. Let's go back to February. Real Madrid travelled to Benfica in the Champions League. It was one of those nights that had everything. Vinicius scored a banger and celebrated right in front of Benfica supporters. A few moments later, the game became about much more than football. The Brazilian reported Benfica winger Gianluca Prestiani had racially abused him. The referee activated UEFA's anti-racism protocol. Play was stopped. Players left the pitch, and the entire football world was watching. An investigation followed. Prestiani denied making any racist remark, although he was later punished for a separate insult directed towards Vinicius. The incident dominated headlines for days, and suddenly the story became even bigger. After the match, he made it clear that he thought Vinicius was an incredible footballer. In fact, he described him as an out-of-this-world player, but he also questioned the celebration. Mourinho suggested that Vinicius had helped create tension inside the stadium. His exact words sparked outrage. Many people felt he was focusing on the wrong thing. Former players criticized him, pundits criticized him, fans criticized him. Clarence Seedorf was among those who felt Mourinho had got it wrong. For a lot of people, the issue wasn't football, it was perception. At a moment when Vinicius felt targeted, many believe Mourinho should have stood beside him without qualification, and that criticism hasn't completely disappeared. Forget the headlines, forget social media, forget the debates. What does Mourinho actually see when he looks at Vinicius? He sees one of the best players in the world of football, a player capable of deciding matches on his own, a player defenders hate facing, a player who can change a game in seconds. The reality is simple. Mourinho isn't returning to Madrid to sideline Vinicius. He needs him, and more time than not, Vinicius needs him too. Not because he needs improving as a player, he's already elite, but because every great Real Madrid era has strong relationships between its biggest stars and the manager. Ancelotti had it, Zidane had it, Del Bosque had it. The question is never whether Mourinho rates Vinicius, it's whether they can build enough trust to work through disagreements when they arrive. Because disagreements will come, they always do. The contract cloud. There's another layer of this, Vinicius' future. Reports suggest contract negotiations haven't always moved smoothly, not because he wants to leave. In fact, he's repeatedly described Real Madrid as the club of his dreams. But there are conversations happening. Conversations about status, conversations about wages, conversations about Real Madrid, conversations about what Real Madrid will look like in the Mbappe era. That's perfectly normal for a player of his level, but it does add extra importance to Mourinho's arrival. Because managers influence careers. Players stay longer when they believe in the project. Players stay longer when they feel valued. And if Mourinho can convince Vinicius that he remains central to everything Madrid want to do, that relationship suddenly becomes very important. So is this going to work? To be honest, that's the main question. Not whether they'll agree on everything, because managers and players never really agree on everything. There's always going to be disagreements. Despite the criticism surrounding Benfica, Mourinho has repeatedly praised Vinicius' quality. Despite the headlines, there is no evidence that Vinicius wants to leave because of Mourinho. And perhaps most importantly, both men want the same thing: to win. When you take away all the noise, just a shared objective. Maybe the Benfica incident ends up being remembered as the first chapter of a difficult relationship. Or maybe it becomes something else entirely. Maybe it's simply the awkward beginning before two ambitious people figure each other out. Because football has a funny habit of creating unlikely partnerships. And if Mourinho and Vinicius do get on, Real Madrid could end up with something very dangerous. One of the greatest managers of his generation, one of the best players in the world, both with a point to prove. The only thing left now is to see what happens when pre-season hits, because all the talking is done. Now they actually have to get to work. What do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe, and I'll check you on the next one. Peace.